As in the flesh example, I've created a general operation called Alchemy. I'll next create an auctioning, crafting, mailing, and shopping part of this operation. Switching to the post tab, I have set up auction. Well, it didn't save them. So we'll do the auction post cap at 10, the stack size at 5. Because I'll be posting potions and flask, I'll set the bid price is at 85% of the buyout and an undercut amount of 5 copper. For my minimum posting price, I've used 5 gold is the minimum price, 500 gold is the maximum, and the normal price is 100 gold. I'll explain a little later where this value comes from, but for now, it's the cost of crafting an item. The cancel tab of the operation allows you to automatically cancel an item that has been undercut and reposted at a higher price. You can opt to keep a number of items posted. The cancel operation can be useful if you have to cancel a large number of items owing to competition and to repost. This can be expensive as you'll lose the auction house fee. The reset feature of auctioning allows you to automatically buy up items that fall below your target price, essentially resetting the market. This feature is normally disabled by default. Checking the Enable Reset skin enables this feature. The max reset cost here. The max amount to spend on resetting on all items. Price resolution is the sensitivity of the operation. The minimum reset profit is the minimum profit for this reset per item. And the max cost per item is the max cost on a per item basis. I'll leave relationships for now. Let me pause here to explain some of the posting price settings. If you are new to TSM, this can be confusing or seem complicated. It's not really, once you get your head around it. So far, I've mentioned all of the TSM operators that can be used in TSM operations. You can think of these operators as placeholders for values that TSM has calculated behind the scenes. For example, the operator DB Market is a placeholder for the market price of an item which TSM has calculated from its data compiled in the AuctionDB database. Remember that TSM can use data from many databases, so I might be using Auctioneer and want to use its database for market pricing. Hence, I would use the operator AUC market instead. If I want the lowest price of an item on the auction house, I could use the DB min buyout operator if I thought that made more sense. The minimum pricing explained. I'm going to go ahead and explain that. I've made this 5 gold of the crafting value. Let me try this again. Yeah. Percentage isn't going to work. The value 5 gold takes into account the auction house fee. It must be over 100%, else I'd be selling at a loss. TSM determines the crafting value by calculating all the material cost necessary to craft an item. The method TSM uses to calculate the material cost is yet another configuration option available to you. But for now, just accept that the default setup works reasonably well. Here, in maximum price, I've used a fancy operator which simply tells TSM to take the maximum or either of the two values. So 500 gold is the maximum price that I want an item to be posted for. That takes into account crafting costs, my time, stuff like that. I've used a similar operation for my normal price. Finally, I've told TSM what to do if the auction house prices are below the minimum or above the maximum price of my operations. Remember the goblin principle. Keep it simple, stupid. As I mentioned previously, you can start to come up with some very complex operations to price your crafted items. At the end of the day, it all boils down to profit. If you can source cheap material to craft your items and sell them for more than it costs to craft, less auction house fees, then you'll make a profit and all of your machinations will bear fruit. Next, we'll look at setting up a crafting operation and configure the crafting operations before moving to the crafting process. Switching to the crafting tab of the operations, I will set up the general options for this section. Here you can set a minimum and maximum restock quantity as well as a minimum profit that needs to be met before TSM crafts on them. Leave this blank for the moment. Keep in mind that TSM allows you to override the default craft value method that it uses to determine the value of a crafted item. Let's take a look at this option. TSM stores the default price setting under options. In the crafting tab. Here TSM works out the minimum cost of material to craft the item. For example, the material price. The default craft value method determines the default value of an item. An example, what it's worth on the auction house. We will leave the default material cost method as it is, but we will change the default craft value method to something more useful. For now, we'll change it to DB Market. The default price settings of the crafting option is very important. It determines how TSM calculates the cost of an item to craft, A, and the value of the crafted item, B, less than the percentage amount we deducted in our configuration. These three values are used to determine the potential profit of a craft item. Profit equals, I'll put the equation in my description, but it's profit equals open parentheses B minus P close parentheses minus A. Let's take